All right, what is going on again, everybody? Welcome back to Engineering Major Philosophy Minor. This is going to be the second video of the night that I release. So again, just want to say I hope you guys are having a good Sunday. Hope you guys are ready to hear about some topics pertaining to engineering, philosophy, politics, or various other social issues. Today we're going to talk about politics and we're going to talk about social issues. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it because I really want to try to keep this one short. This is going to be a little bit of a rant, so if you guys get annoyed by that, then obviously just click away from the video or whatever. But I made a video earlier on this channel because we had a judge in San Diego suggest that because they weren't able to get kind of like a final word on this like strip club or adult entertainment case as to whether or not they could open, they decided to just suspend the lockdown orders in San Diego just temporarily while they decided to deal with this case. Now, I was very hopeful and optimistic that this would mean that basically we were going to get another hearing and perhaps people would side with the judge on this one, or at least officials or whoever would side with the judge and suggest that we could like reopen restaurants and stuff like that. So for about a period of like maybe 8 hours, you could go dine outdoors in San Diego. So a few of my friends and I, we went down to a local ramen spot. Really, really good ramen. We sat outside. They had barriers in between people. You obviously had to wear a mask coming up, even though it's an outdoor dining area. Now, I just want to point out that when we arrived, there was a spin class that was going on outside. Now, this next point that I'm about to make is nothing against people doing spin class, but the people doing spin class obviously were not wearing masks and they were not more than 6 feet apart. Now they were outside, so that's good, but they're also breathing super heavily. So if we're going to get involved in all this, science stuff, I think that if you can do a spin class outside, you can certainly dine outside. But of course, this is what happens when you try to institute, government command style authoritarian control over things, is that, one person or one group of people all of a sudden has to decide all these little nuances, and they end up adversely affecting some and not affecting others, and basically creating this hypocritical chain. Anyway, we get some food, was great. We ate outside. So then the next morning, I'm about to go to the gym for my outdoor workout, and I decide to pick up a little bit of breakfast prior to my workout. And I'm in a shopping center, and I realize that this restaurant that I'm going to has a really nice outdoor area, but they've set up tables in front of the restaurant where they're taking people's orders outside and doing to go. So I was talking with the proprietor, the general manager, let's say. And I said, you guys have like a nice patio area. Like I thought that, we could dine outside now, just at least temporarily. He's like, no, California came down 5 p.m. So apparently we were eating ramen at like 6 p.m. So technically we were in violation of this because it came out at 5 p.m. the night before. And I look right across the parking lot and Nordstrom rack, completely open. People come in and out of there. It seemed like without any limit on capacity, although maybe they just weren't at capacity yet because it was early in the morning. But then I go to the gym, which happens to be right next to a mall. It takes me forever to get into the gym because there's actually a lot of traffic outside of the mall. Everyone's doing Christmas shopping. So, these business owners aren't allowed to serve food outside, but for some reason, the big department store like Nordstrom Rack is basically just completely open, with the exception of having to wear your mask inside, and so is the mall. And I just think that it's completely ridiculous, and it's actually completely anti-science, because obviously if you're to accept the scientific premise that you can't just simply get served food outside, then you surely shouldn't be able to gather in mass inside a department store or work out outside without a mask. So let's go ahead and read what the County of San Diego has to say. Environmental health update. Dear operators, today the Court of Appeal issued a stay of a lower court's ruling regarding enforcement of state and local health orders in restaurants. All state and local health orders regarding restaurant operations, including the regional stay-at-home order, remain in effect. Then in bold, this means that effective immediately, all on-site dining, indoor and outdoor, is prohibited, and the state and local health orders and food facility protocols must be followed. All food facilities, including restaurants, bars, breweries, wineries, and distilleries, shall only offer food and beverage for takeout and pickup or delivery. Please continue to take all the necessary precautions to slow the spread of COVID-19 by complying with the health orders, food facility protocols, and continue the following practices. Wear face coverings, physically distance 6 feet when possible, frequently wash your hands, stay at home if you're sick. Follow industry-specific guidelines for COVID-19. Review all this crap about safe reopening, blah, 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 food safe protocol, recommend your continued commitment to protecting public health. So the thing that I want to say about this is, I've made statements on this channel in previous videos that, it really just needs to be the free market that decides what businesses are essential and can stay open. When I went to have ramen with my friends, is that because I don't care about protecting public health? Or that I just want to go around coughing on people and intentionally trying to get people sick? Or that I want to just invite COVID into myself and put me at risk for serious complications, even though my risk in my age group is extraordinarily low, right? Like, do all the people who showed up to that spin class just not care at all about, the health and safety of others? And, they're just these like miserly, selfish people who, all they care about is getting their workout in, and they're going to go intentionally harm others and spread germs. If you guys want to talk about stuff that's dehumanizing, this is exactly it. Imposing restrictions on some people, suggesting that they are a detriment to public health, but then allowing, others who are doing the same exact activities, right? Basically just gathering in a place and engaging in normal economic activity, not even really socialization. Their actions are justified because what? Because that's more important to public health than just like eating food somewhere. Not that my word is going to make a huge difference, but this kind of stuff, it seriously, it absolutely disgusts me to watch people lose their jobs, lose their livelihoods, people who are at low risk. And then to have, the state come in and put out, a statement in bold, basically saying you must do this, you must do that, this is prohibited, that's prohibited, for no reason other than we feel like it, and because, we're going to take it case by case and determine what's essential and what's not essential all on our own. No. For all the people who showed up to the spin class, right? There's a reason why they patronize the business, right? There's a reason why they are willing to give their money. It's not because they don't care about public health. It's because they can make the individual decision to assess the risk for themselves, whether or not what they want to do. And then if it is so found out that they get COVID and they've been intentionally going around trying to spread it to people, like purposefully trying to spread it, then they can receive punishment, right? Absolutely. That is the just use of punishment on people. But if people are just acting in good faith and all they want to do is just patronize a business, that right there shows that the business is essential, not the government. Like, we don't need the government to decide what's essential and not essential. How do I know the ramen place is essential? Because me and 3 other people patronized it. How do I know that the breakfast place that I went to is essential? Because I'm standing out there with like 10 other people who are just like trying to order food. The only difference is we don't have a place to sit down, and the business isn't getting nearly as much business as it would if it could just open outdoor dining. And by the way, lucky for us that we live in a state where you can do outdoor dining frequently. It's been beautiful in San Diego recently. I mean, we absolutely should be outside enjoying the fact that we can socially distance in a low-risk environment and eat food and talk with each other and smile at each other and enjoy each other's company. No, but instead, Gavin Newsom and his gang of experts or whatever, they get to go around and do whatever they want while the rest of us just have our livelihoods destroyed. It's absolutely despicable, and it disgusts me. Now, I recently filmed a video where I was in North Dakota. I was talking with a friend of mine, and they were asking me about what North Dakota's restrictions are like. And this is what I told her. I said, you know, it was actually extremely refreshing being in a place where you can't just do things outside in North Dakota. It's below freezing. You know, the high temperature of the day is below freezing. It might be snowing. There's ice everywhere. You can't be outside. And yet places are still open and they're just doing the best they can. And it's refreshing to be in a place where people understand that there's a risk. They understand it's a real problem. There are mask mandates around. When I go into work in North Dakota, we're required to wear masks. We've got temperature screenings going in. We're not supposed to show up if we're sick. We have like a reporting system through our company that says if somebody has tested positive or whatever and you may have come in contact with them, you know, we do our own contact tracing. People out there are just doing the best they can, and then they're just living their lives. And there is a little bit of a slowdown in business, and that's to be expected because some people are just going to be scared. But for the other people who aren't scared, who aren't at high risk, they just do the best they can and they live their life normally, except for having to wear a mask here and there. And it's so refreshing because not everyone is like suspicious of everyone else, thinking that some people, you know, some people just like don't give a shit about public health and want people to die or like overwhelm the hospital system. You know, like people aren't thinking about that out there. They're just thinking about the fact that they're among other human beings who just want to live their lives. And if they spot somebody who's trying to do something intentionally nefarious, then we're going to have, you know, an issue on hand. But other than that, you just do the best you can. Now, here is just the last thing I'm going to mention, which frustrates me to absolutely no end. So we see all these news articles about how, you know, Southern California, the ICU capacity hit, you know, 0% available or whatever. And, you know, we're going to overwhelm the hospital system, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Gavin Newsom and your gang of jolly health experts, you guys had not like almost a year at this point to prepare your medical system. All right. Like if you guys like actually want to do something for public health, what you should have done is made sure that all the hospitals were prepared for essentially a giant surge. Because of course there's going to be a surge when it starts getting cold and everybody has to stay inside. Now, if you look at New York, they're getting lucky because it killed everybody in March and April. I mean, it sounds morbid, but it's true. If you look at their death numbers are not rising significantly at all, but their case numbers have, you know, basically reached greater than the case numbers in April and March. This is what always happens when the government gets involved, is they're never held accountable for anything that they do. They're never required to think creatively about how to deal with the issue of decreasing ICU capacity. I mean, how come they're not sending out orders like, hey, you know, we're looking for volunteers to help set up like temporary stuff at hospitals and stuff like that? Like, how come they're not like empowering that? No. Instead, they're just like throwing out a bold statement about you can't do this and you can't do that. And, you know, we don't really care about your livelihood. We just care about our random rules. You know, it frustrates me to no end. So for those of you guys who catch this video, thank you very much for watching. I know this was a little bit of a rant, but you know, I can't stand this anymore. I was asking the manager of this spot. You know, he actually, I asked him to email me this health update because I couldn't find this, like in headlines or anything like that. I couldn't find like the actual document. Of course not. Why would you be? You know, the media is all in the tank for locking down and saying that the vaccine doesn't work or whatever. That's dangerous. So whatever on that. But the manager was nice enough to send this to me. I told him that, you know, I have a YouTube channel where I talk about stuff. He just said, you know, just don't use the name of the business or my name, and, you know, I'll send it to you. I was like, all right, no problem. I was talking to him and I said, what do you think what's the ultimate consequence that will happen to you if you were to just disobey the orders and open? And he was like, you know, it's just going to be tough, and, you know, we just have such a big footprint in San Diego, and, you know, he's just scared that he's going to lose everything, right? And he's like, we're just too big of a name, you know, whatever. He was like, you know, in LA, and he said this, and I was blown away. He's like, you know, in LA, I've talked to, you know, managers and owners of other restaurants where they've actually been shutting off their water. Can you guys believe that? I mean, that kind of stuff is just, it's absolutely wretched. I mean, when are they going to start shutting off water to residents' houses because, people just want to go out for a jog or something or want to go to their spin class? I really think that if enough businesses just open, then there's nothing that the city can really do. I don't know what will get me banned from YouTube or what's like appropriate or not appropriate to say. So I'll just say this as some food for thought for any business owners who may watch this. Think about what the ultimate consequence will really be if you open up. Just think about it for a second. Because I'm willing to bet that you'll reach a conclusion that actually the consequences won't be that bad if enough of you guys do it. I'll just leave it there. Just think about what your consequences are, and I personally think if you really think through the consequences, they're not going to be that dire. I hope the best for all the small business owners, and I just want this lockdown to end. And the government officials, they need to start getting more creative about how to manage ICU capacity and stuff like that. They've had a year to figure it out, and they've literally done nothing except just lock down and ask people to wear masks, which hasn't done anything. What they should be doing is trying to figure out maybe how to get the military ship to come back, having people volunteer to set up tents and things like that, start constructing things, start building, like really start start figuring out maybe how to get nurses to people's homes or something. I can think of like 10 ideas off the top of my head that can be used to at least make this as painless as possible. I mean, it's going to be, it's going to suck, right? You can't stop it anymore. So I say open up and let's get creative. Let's stop thinking that there's some easy way out by just locking down. It's just wrong. So anyway, guys, been ranting for a bit. So catch you guys in the next one. We're going to talk about some environmental stuff. Joe Biden just making stuff up, Anyway, all right. Catch you guys in the next one. Later. Oh, like, comment, subscribe, share, and stuff.